Welcome to iLectureOnline. Now here we have a very interesting example. It is an LC circuit, but is it a parallel circuit or is it a series circuit? It turns out it's actually both. And so let me try to explain. So here we have a simple circuit. It has a current source, it has a capacitor, and it has an inductor. Now the current source, well, when t is less than 0, there's no current being driven by the source. Only when t is greater than 0 is there a 10 amp current being forced into the circuit. Now that 10 amp current will set up a steady state current. Eventually things will come to a steady state due to that 10 amp current. But notice what happens is, to the current source, this is a parallel circuit. Part of current will go to the capacitor, part of current will go to the inductor. The capacitor will eventually fill up with charge. Once it fills up with charge, then only current will go to the inductor, and eventually the current from the current source will be equal to the current through the inductor. So we'll have a steady state current of 10 amps. Do I have? Yes, I do have the steady state current there. All right. But what's also going to happen is once the current begins to flow, you're going to end up with an oscillating current going back and forth between the inductor and the capacitor. And that sets up kind of an interaction between the two components where they act as if they're in a series circuit. So let me try to explain then what happens. So again, what we're going to try to find is we're going to find an equation for the current as a function of time and an equation for the voltage as a function of time. So we'll do both. We'll start out with the equation for the current. So what is the initial voltage across the capacitor right here? Well, notice that at t equals 0, no current is being flowing, so that means that there cannot be any voltage across the capacitor. So the initial voltage across the capacitor must equal to 0. As far as the current is concerned, same thing. Since there's no current source until time after 0, you can see that at t equals 0, there's no current flowing through the inductor yet either. So we can say that I sub naught is equal to 0. What about the steady state current? Well, as I mentioned before, after the current begins to flow through the circuit, the capacitor fills up with charge, and all the current of the source will go to the inductor. So that means that ISS, the steady state current, will be equal to 10 amps. Now what about alpha? Remember that alpha has two equations. Alpha for a parallel circuit is 1 over 2 RC, but alpha for a series circuit is equal to R divided by 2L. Now, which of these equations are we going to use? Notice there's no resistance. And if we use this equation right here, notice R is in the bottom, 0 in the denominator would give us an infinite alpha. Well, an infinite alpha would be an infinite opposition to current flow, an infinite damping. And that doesn't make a lot of sense because infinite damping means that no current would flow. And current is going to flow readily. So that doesn't seem to make sense, although it does appear like we have a parallel circuit. But remember what I said before, is that the interaction between the capacitor and inductor is that current will flow back and forth, charge will fill up on this side, and on the other side we'll have a charge flowing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and actually for an infinite amount of time because there's no resistance to slow it down and to pull the energy out of the system. So we'll have a steady state current, and on top of that we'll have an alternating current going back and forth, and then the capacitor and inductor will act like a series circuit. So essentially we'll need to use this equation for the alpha, not the one that we thought we should use. So let's calculate what that is equal to. So alpha is equal to R over 2L. R is going to be, well, that's 0 over 2 times 20. So you can see that alpha in this case is equal to 0. How about the omega sub naught? The natural frequency of the capacitor inductor, well, that's going to be 1 over the square root of L times C, which is equal to 1 over the square root of L, which is 20, and C, which is 0.2. So that's equal to 4. 1 over, and the square root of 4 is 2, 1 over 2 is equal to 0.5. So the natural frequency of the circuit is 0.5, and the alpha is equal to 0. Now we're ready to determine what kind of circuit we have. And of course, we should already know that. We have definitely an underdamped case because there's no damping whatsoever. There's no resistor. So we can also see, of course, that 0 is less than 0.5. So we know that there's an underdamped case. We didn't need to compare the two to one another. We knew it already, but it's nice to see that that indeed holds true. So we're dealing with an underdamped case. That means that the general equation for the current, I as a function of time, is going to be equal to, that would be A1, not E, because I need my cosine and sine function. I'm getting ahead of myself. I was thinking about what the E function will look like, but so we have A1 times the cosine of omega sub dt plus A2 times the sine of omega sub dt times e to the minus alpha t plus the steady state current. Now right away, we already know the steady state current, that's equal to 10. Alpha is equal to 0, that means the dampening component goes away completely. There's no dampening at all, that makes sense. And remember that omega sub d, let's write the equation down, omega sub d is equal to the square root of alpha squared minus omega sub naught squared. So since this component is equal to 0, essentially it's the I component of that, or the magnitude of it is exactly the same as omega sub naught. So that means that I sub t is equal to a sub 1 times the cosine of omega sub d, which is omega sub naught, which is 0.5, t plus a2, times the sine of omega d, which is the sine of 0.5 times t, and the e to the minus omega t, that goes away, that's simply 1, plus a steady state current of 10 amps. So now all we have to do is find A1 and A2. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use I sub naught is equal to 0. So I, when time is equal to 0, is equal to 0, which is equal to, well, the cosine of 0 is 1, so we get A1 plus the sine, 1, and plus A2, well, let's see here, the sine of 0 is 0, so that goes away, plus 10. And that means that A1 is equal to minus 10. All right, how do we find A2? Well, we do that by taking the derivative and then using this equation right here. Because what we can say is that not that equation, we need to use this equation right here. That's the wrong equation. We'll use this equation right here, V equals L di dt, which means that di dt is equal to V over L. And the initial di dt, when t equals 0, is V initial sub L. And that's what we're going to use to find A2. So first we need to find the derivative. So di dt. And of course, realizing that A1 is equal to 10, or minus 10, so di dt is equal to, the derivative of cosine is the negative sign, so that would be negative 0.5 times A1, which is a negative 10, times the sine of 0.5t, and then here the derivative of the sine is the cosine, that would be plus 0.5 times A2, like this, A2 times the cosine of 0.5t, and of course the derivative of 10 is equal to 0. And then we realize that V initial, in this case, is equal to 0, L is 20, so simply equal to 0, so we know that that must equal 0. Okay, well when, of course, when I go like this. Well, let's see here. No, I'm getting lazy. I shouldn't do that. I need to rewrite the equation again because doing that, I'm getting ahead of myself. Not a good form. The next line we write, di dt when time is equal to 0 equals 0, because this is not equal 0. This is the di dt at any point in time, but now we're going to solve it for t being equal to 0. So when t is equal to 0, the sine of 0 is 0, so that goes away. Then we're left with this, so it would be plus 0.5 a2 times the cosine of 0, which is 1. So there you can see that a2 actually goes to 0. So a2 is now equal to 0. All right, so that gives us the complete equation for the current. We can now say that I, as a function of time, is equal to, right here, that's the equation we're looking at, A1, and A1 is equal to, right here, minus 10 times the cosine of 0.5t, and plus 10 for the steady state current. And this now becomes the equation as a function of time. So notice that we now have this quantity right here. We solve for the current, we still need to solve for the voltage across the capacitor. And then of course we can use this equation right here where voltage is equal to L times di dt. So now what we need to do is find di dt, which is right here, and realizing that A2 is equal to 0. So that means that di dt is equal to this times this. Well, that would be 5, a positive 5 times the sine of 5t. And then we can say that V is L times di dt. So at that point we can say that V is equal to L times di dt. And notice that my L is equal to 20. So that's equal to 20 times 5 times the sine of 5t, which is equal to 100 times the sine of 5t. And of course that would be in terms of volts because we're dealing with the voltage. So we can say that is volts. There's that. And then here this equation that's in terms of amps, like this, because that's the current. And now we have the two equations, one that gives us the current as a function of time and one that gives us the voltage as a function of time. Well, maybe I'll write V of t like this. There we go. It's a little more complete. All right, so now we have the two equations for this particular circuit. Now you may wonder, well, what does that really look like? So what do we have here? We have a current that has a steady state portion and a time varying portion that never diminishes. And now we have a di dt, which of course can give us the voltage. We have the voltage as a function of time where we see a continuously varying voltage. And notice that this is dependent on the cosine function, that's dependent on the sine function. We have a minus 10 in front here, we have a positive 100. What does that look like? Well, on the next video we're going to graph it out, and then we're going to show a table of values to get a feel of what's actually going on in the circuit based upon these two equations. But at least we got the right answers, and that is how it's done. I hope we got the right answers.
You hope it's the right answer.
Let's see, is this the right answer? Sure looks like it. Where's my voltage? Yep, all that looks good.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to find out my di dt. And my di dt is right here. And remember that A2 is equal to 0, so this is the only thing that's left. So that would be equal to, it looks like a positive 10 times the sine, so 10. No, not 10, 0.5 times that would be 5. Times the sine of 0.5t. And now, of course, what we're going to do is we're going to find the voltage, which is L times di dt. So now we have the voltage, which is equal to L times di dt. And of course, that's voltage as a function of time. So put the t in there. And so all we have to do is multiply this equation by L, and L in this case is 20. So this would be equal to 20 times di dt, which is 5 times the sine of 0.5t, which is equal to 100 times the sine of 0.5t. And of course, that's in terms of volts. And there we go. There's the equation for the voltage as a function of time and the equation for the current as a function of time. Of course, I snuck that A in there to make sure that we understood that was in amps and the voltage is in volts. Now, when we think about it, what does that really mean? We have a current that has a steady state portion of it. There's a continuous 10 amp current going through the inductor, but then there's an oscillating portion on top of that That is because of the interaction between the inductor and the capacitor. And then we have a voltage which is purely a sinusoidal oscillating voltage that goes between 100 and minus 100 volts, and that oscillates at the same frequency as the current, obviously offset in time, and so that's the phase difference. And so I think it might be a good idea to go ahead and graph that and to show a table of values to get a feel of what that actually looks like. So we'll do that on the next video, but this is how this is done. And it's correct this time. All right.